Hey guys, thank you so much for connecting to our yet another episode of interview series, podcast series, depending on how you prefer our videos. So we got today a nice talk. We're about to have a nice talk with a founder of quantum economics, also investment expert, entrepreneur, and basically the thorough leader of crypto and financial markets. So guys, please welcome Matty Greenspan. Hi Matty, thank you so much for connecting.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So how are you doing, Matty?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's been a very turbulent markets lately, but it looks like things are moving in the right direction now. The election of President Donald Trump in the United States has been very helpful for just about everything we're doing at quantum economics, and all of the ventures that I'm involved in have been absolutely flying so far this year.
Wow, that's super great. Matty, I also heard that you've been called like a crypto realist. So what does that mean to you? And how is it just different from being just bullish or bearish?
I've actually never heard that term before, but I suppose it fits. I'm a bit of a pragmatist. Try not to get over hyped about things and try to analyze projects and coins based on the actual value that they bring to the table. I am certainly in favor of long-term investing, and I discount hype. So if something has a nice price tag attached to it and it's way overhyped, you'd probably not catch me buying it. I like to buy things that I can hold for a very long time, and that will, generate value for everybody in the ecosystem.
Right. Let's talk about that. So I believe you've seen lots of, waves of hype and crashes. So what's your mental framework for spotting like real innovation through the noise?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, I don't think that I have like a specific framework for it, per se. It's more of an intuition that you get after being involved in the markets for as long as I have, witnessing the birth of the crypto market and rapid expansion, especially, with a strong background in traditional markets and, a portfolio manager's license. I like to speak with the founders and ask lots of questions. And that's really my methodology of determining, is this something that has, staying power or not? And when I don't get that privilege or that honor, then, looking at it from the side, from a holistic perspective, and if it's gained market share, then there's probably a reason for that.
So it's like a more personalized approach. Right. Okay, I see.
Absolutely. Do your own research, right? And that there's no caveats or guidelines on how to do the research. So, everybody's got to, color outside the lines in their own special way.
Okay. So are there any macro indicators that you personally watch every single week?
Less and less lately. Like I mentioned, the elections in the United States, that was huge. Over the last few weeks, we've also been watching the Fed, with Jerome Powell. Quantitative tightening has not been friendly to the markets. I mean, crypto is used to money printing and the money printer going burr, and that's just not happening this cycle. So watching their moves can be very telling about how prices are going to play out. But I have, over the last few years, been slowly transitioning from a trader and a market analyst to more of, a builder and an entrepreneur. So, yes, I won't lie, the prices are always up. I do day trade, on leverage sometimes with small money and blow accounts up quite frequently. And sometimes, sometimes make that 100x every once in a while. But for the most part, my focus is on building things that matter. And for that, you don't really care about the price. I mean, somebody asked Jeff Bezos, what was going through his mind when the stock plummeted from $100 a share to $8 a share. He was like, I didn't, I see the revenues coming in. I didn't really care about that. Just focus on building. And I think that's what we need to do.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so as I said before, you witnessed the birth of like the crypto market and all that stuff. So I believe you are really early on. So what's one belief about the market that you had maybe back in 2017 and that completely broke by 2022 and onwards.
2017 to 20. That's a very specific time frame. So,
Yeah.
Let's see. So 2017 was the retail adoption phase. I was introduced to crypto in 2013. I got my first Bitcoin in March of 2013.
Wow.
And then XRP and Doge later on that year. 2017 was really the retail adoption phase. And I believe that was really a product of Occupy Wall Street. It was like people had gotten fed up with the system working for the bankers and the politicians. And finally, there was this mass revelation of people that they can opt out of that system and, be able to hold on to their money over time without it being eroded by the powers that be. And 2022 is also a very interesting point in history when the Federal Reserve pivoted from loose money or free monetary policy to tightening up the belt. And we know the crypto winter that happened at that time famously blew up projects like Terra Luna, FTX and Celsius also went under. Obviously, those three projects were unsustainable, but as long as, there's money printing happening, they could sustain themselves through the money printing because they were just going out and taking the free money and claiming it as their own. Whereas once the money printing stopped and, the Fed started tightening, it was a very revealing time and they had to go under. And I believe that what's changed from 2017 until 2022, you're asking about this specific time frame. I was of the belief that the Fed would always continue printing money. I did not foresee them ever trying to tighten the belt. Obviously, what happened in 2020 was they went overboard with the money printing, right? 2020 and 2021, in those 2 years, they printed more money than anybody could ever want or need or have use for. And that caused massive inflation, and therefore they had to react to kill the inflation monster that they themselves created. And so that, I think, was quite a moment of realization for myself about what you need to look for and what you need to be building for. Because if your project requires money printing in order to be sustainable, then it's just not a very good product to begin with.
And do you still believe that this cycle, bullish 2022, we'll see ever again?
Do I believe that we'll see a bear cycle again? Or
the one that happened like in 2021, 2022.
Do I believe that we'll see like a euphoria like that again?
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually. I mean, euphoria doesn't generally grow overnight. So what's been happening since then is you have a lot of people on the side waiting for that again. And what people are missing is that right now we're very, very early in the cycle. Now, I believe, and I've spoken many times publicly about the effect that Donald Trump, Javier Milei, Nayib Bukele, George Maloney, etc., are going to have over the next few years vis-a-vis deregulation of government, smaller government, firing, getting rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. And I believe that this new landscape for politics is going to go global, because that's the way democracies work. As soon as people see that these policies are working and they're having a positive impact, they're going to want it too. And when we amplify that with new technologies like cryptocurrency and AI and quantum computing, I believe that wholeheartedly that we're heading into a golden age of prosperity, such as has never been seen before, and could last for literally centuries.
Wow, that's so profound. It's a good belief, man. Okay, so from global...
You gotta be optimistic.
Yeah, that's kind of optimistic, I'd rather say, yeah. From global perspective, let's, narrow down to local, maybe, if you put it that way. So let's talk about quantum economics, your project. So if you had to explain quantum economics in one sentence to someone, say, at the bar, how would you do it?
Actually, in 2 words, it's a startup foundry. Basically, quantum economics is a group of about 100 members at the moment who are all very high quality people. So you have your founders and board members and CEOs and such, and then you also have developers, content creators, and some of the most prolific writers and researchers in the space. And we all build together. So we've got 2 projects that have already spun off and become their own entities from quantum economics. We're advising on many others. So you literally visit QE.finance to see all of the members that we currently have on board and all of the projects that we're supporting.
Wow, that's really great, man. And what's one surprising thing that you learned from building quantum economics, from quantum, that just, it works in theory, but this is the one thing that just people cannot teach?
Yeah, wow, that's an interesting question. I mean, I learn new things every day. So to try and single one thing out, I would say that never underestimate the power of a shared revenue model where each person is contributing their time, their energy, and their IP in order to create something awesome for which you will reap the benefits later, because that is literally the recipe book for ingenuity. It's the recipe book for innovation. Because when you have an idea of like you want to create a project or a company, well, it's just an idea at first, but then you got to start researching and say, is this a viable idea? Is it a good idea? And a lot of the time the answer is going to be no. You should stay the heck away from this. But when you do find the ones that you say, okay, well, we can do this, and we have the resources necessary and the experience among our team members to do this, then just start doing it, and then everything else will fall into place as needed, like a big giant jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, that's great, man. Said it right. Also, well, we're pretty limited in time, so let's talk about something else. I also heard that you're pretty deep into Bitcoin mining. Is that correct?
It is, absolutely. Yeah, we have one of the spin-offs that I mentioned is Quantum Expeditions. QuantumExpeditions.com have raised $1.1 million from over 700 investors so far. And we've been mining profitably for a year already, and very soon to deploy our first off-grid site, which means that we'll be taking natural gas that would have otherwise be burned into the atmosphere and in a very wasteful and unenvironmentally friendly way. And we're going to be feeding that into our generators in order to mine Bitcoin, better for the planet and much, much more profitable for us. And then we've got a crowd fund that's open at the moment. It'll be closing on April 30th.
Oh, great. But, I've heard everyone talking about, green mining. So what's actually working in terms of energy innovation?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what green mining basically is. We do have a lot of other research as far as, because Bitcoin is, and that's what really got us into Bitcoin mining to begin with. This is our roots.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, because we were doing research on Bitcoin mining. And if you'll remember, a few years ago, Elon Musk was on this tirade, like he was accepting Bitcoin for Teslas, and then he wasn't, and then he said that
I remember
the energy was a problem, the energy usage and stuff like that. And he's gonna go to sleep. Look at this. And we were doing the research and saying, okay, like, is Bitcoin good for the planet or bad for how bad for the planet is it? And what we found was that actually Bitcoin incentivizes innovation within the energy market. And innovation within the energy market is a net positive for humanity and better for the environment. And what we found with the natural gas is that we can actually be more profitable by a factor of probably factor of 10 by going away from the regular electric sources and going off grid to these natural gas sites. So not only is it better for the environment, but it's much, much better for our company, the profits, and for our investors.
Yeah, I see the point.
And I believe that Bitcoin mining will spark more innovation in clean energy, and eventually it's going to bring us to Jupiter, because that's a whole planet full of gas, man. So with quantum computing being able to transfer data in real time, I think there's the barriers are breaking down by the moment. Within a few decades we'll be over there in Jupiter mining Bitcoin.
Wow, you're aiming real long. And speaking of today's time, what do governments still misunderstand about mining infrastructure? What holds them back?
Depends which government, right? The government of Bhutan just built their airport off the profits of Bitcoin mining. So some of them understand it very well. I think, European Union, for one, is lagging. The United States just got a new government who understands cryptocurrencies quite well and is learning by the day. I believe that regarding Bitcoin mining specifically, what's missing right now is globalization of the production of ASIC machinery, because at the moment, most of the machines that mine Bitcoin are produced in China. They have a high fail rate and they have zero customer service. We had 6 machines that went down a year and a half ago. We just got them back after like nightmare stories trying to deal with Bitmain and the supplier and the repair shop, and it was just like the machines, they never worked. Like we turned them on and like at one point they're like, well, you restarted the machine, so we're not covering the warranty. I'm like, just give me my machines back, you crook, and I'm not dealing with you again. So what I believe is going to happen over the next year or so, we'll see some ASIC manufacturing inside of the United States, especially with the Trump tariffs. I believe that's a real possibility. And I think that we're going to have to start moving towards quantum resistance pretty soon, because that's moving faster than anybody can really put their finger on.
Yeah, I totally agree. But if we zoom out, so you name like time frame of 1 year. So what role will Bitcoin realistically play in global finance system over the next 10 years? So do you have such projections?
An increasing role. And I mean, I've been using Bitcoin primarily for most of my companies. Quantum Expeditions pays almost all of our salaries in Bitcoin. Quantum Economics as well. I would say 99% of the people that I work with prefer receiving salaries in Bitcoin. We also earn in Bitcoin, so that works out well. That's just us as a microcosm, though. What we've seen globally is a resistance from banks to adopt Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies for fear of it, because they know deep down that someday they're going to be replaced by smart contracts and self-custodial systems, which we're building as well with Korra Finance. However, over the next 10 years, I would say that, first of all, everything that's traded, any stock, any bond, anything with a ticker, any currency is going to be on-chain. So even fiat currencies are going to be completely on-chain by then, especially with the US dollar and the Stablecoin Act that just flew through Congress. Anything with a price tag and a ticker is going to be traded on-chain, and therefore we're going to be in a digital world where virtual currencies are quite normal and people are already comfortable dealing with them. And as such, if you're asking specifically about Bitcoin, I mean, Bitcoin is the king of those, and we're seeing a massive consolidation throughout this cycle. If you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, I mean, it's been going up steady for more than a year now. And I believe that'll continue because there's nothing else that really compares to Bitcoin in the cryptocurrency world. There are some that will outperform, but as far as like surefire, I think that's really the only one that everybody believes in.
So you're really up for, okay, how put it this way? So you're really bullish in terms of DeFi future, decentralized future. So how are we going to see that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that's putting it mildly. I mean, I've been quoted, in CNBC as early as 2015 by saying that we're moving towards a decentralized future. I mean, the old guard of traditional finance, doing back deals and behind closed doors. All of that dirty laundry is going to be aired out in the open, just like the U.S. government's dirty laundry is being aired out right now. And I think that it's a natural thing for people to want to own their own assets. And I think that as people understand what that means, there's going to be an innate desire for that. But it's not just that, it's also that we make it a lot more convenient and a lot cheaper. And so anything that can be done through a centralized party can now be done without a centralized party, and that just knocks out the middlemen of any transaction, and it's a beautiful thing.
But speaking of now, is crypto ready for mainstream adoption? So or maybe we still lack like maybe UX. Maybe we need to understand better UX risk. Maybe we have some trust issues. So mainstream adoption, what about it?
Yeah, and so that's what we're building with Korra Finance. We're building a mobile app, which is basically a wallet with an integrated AI agent that has full visibility on your portfolio and can help people who are new to understand this new world. First of all, to to manage their wallets and their private keys in a very secure and user-friendly way, as well as manage their portfolio, execute transactions from a voice command, rebalancing your portfolio, analyzing the markets. It learns who you are as a person and can suggest investments from DeFi staking to meme coins or whatever the user is interested in and whatever fits their risk profile. So yes. The infrastructure does need to improve. Right now it's very difficult to do a lot of things in a decentralized way. But that's one of the things that we're solving for in Korra Finance, make it simple and safe for everybody, because that's what's required in order to get from where we are now to the future that you're talking about.
Yeah, but if we strip down all the buzzwords, what's the real value proposition of DeFi in 2025? In your perspective?
I believe that we're still early days in DeFi. And then DeFi summer, the Great Awakening was 2021, and it hasn't been helped by, the Biden administration with Gary Gensler, basically, and his predecessor, Jay Clayton, basically just saying everything that has utility is illegal. That was a problem. And the net effect of that was that, people said, okay, fuck you, Gary Gensler. We're going to have something called a meme coin now, which doesn't have any utility. You can't call it a security. You can't call it illegal. Therefore, it is perfectly legal. But what does that do for humanity? It's just a vehicle for gambling and scammers and value extraction by KOLs and pump and dump schemes and all those type of things that should be illegal anyways. But, the government chose to focus on cracking down on the good actors instead of the bad actors. So they cracked down on the good actors, left all the bad actors. So now what we need to do is a cleansing process where the bad actors get booted out of the system and the good actors have the freedom to build the stuff that needs to be built. And that's going to be a process. It's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take time. But over the next few years, we'll be seeing projects that have real value and add value, real world assets, DePIN technologies, these type of things will have widespread effect and positive impact on society. And naturally, people will then gravitate away from, and obviously people are going to always want to gamble, but there'll be more option to invest and make an impact with your investment on things that matter and on things that are truly awesome.
That's really optimistic viewpoint. But speaking of the dark side, maybe of DeFi and maybe a whole crypto space, let's put it this way. What's one uncomfortable truth about crypto space that no one wants to talk about and say it out loud?
An uncomfortable truth?
Right.
Well, I believe I just said it, man. They're right now, as it stands, with all of the good actors out, all of crypto is just shoveling shit from one side of the room to the other side of the room as, the cabal and the KOLs extract value. And that's what's happening. And people come in with, $100 or $1,000 and they lose it over and over. You always hear about, somebody who made $1 billion on a meme coin, but what you don't hear about is the billion people who lost $100 or $1,000 on a meme coin. And that's what happens every day. It's an uncomfortable truth because that's exactly what's happening, and it's a mismatch of expectations. There's not a new mismatch of expectations. I mean, this is something that I've been dealing with in the Forex market since before Bitcoin was ever invented, where people would come in and they discover leverage, and then they think that they can turn $100 into $1 million. And the fact of the matter is, if you're trying to make those type of gains out of that kind of money, you're more than likely to lose it. And therefore, if you're trading on leverage, you got to treat it as kind of like a gambling addiction. If you're trading on meme coins, it's the same thing. And so you got to really do good research on the projects that you're backing. to spend your time. I'm not going to even say money, because money is secondary. Your time is the most important thing. And when you spend your time on something, make sure that you're spending it on something that's going to have a positive impact for yourself long term, and not something that, you're going to be some gunslinger that can make a 10x and run away, because your chances of actually accomplishing that are slim to none.
Well, Maddie, that was really interesting viewpoint. I think we're having so nice talk so far. I had to stop it, but we got to end it. And let's make something else, something different, and end it with a rapid fire question round. So I've got like 5 questions prepared for you, and I expect like more like short, punchy answers from you. So if you're ready, we can start right now.
Good.
Okay, so first question goes like this. Most overhyped asset right now?
Most overhyped asset?
Or certainly not Bitcoin.
No, not Bitcoin. I think Ethereum is still a bit overhyped. There are others that can do what it does better than it does it for cheaper and faster. So I'm going to go with Ethereum.
Okay. Most underrated macro signal?
Most underrated macro signal. You just got to watch the Fed, man. Are they printing or are they tightening? And that's gonna give us a lot until one day we abolish them.
Yeah, totally. Okay, next. One book every crypto founder should read.
The Bible. Everybody should read it, man, every day.
Okay, I get it. And next, one myth about Bitcoin you wish people would stop repeating.
A myth about Bitcoin.
Right.
Geez, there's not a lot of Bitcoin myths anymore. I would say that the myth that people don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, that's definitely a myth. We already know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, but people are afraid to say it. They don't want to.
Really? You know who Satoshi is?
You do too, man.
Okay, so
if you've researched it for more than 100 hours, you already know the answer.
Let's make the final question this way then. If Satoshi DM'd you today, what would you ask or say?
If Satoshi were here today?
Yeah.
Well, I've already loaded all of his writings into ChatGPT. I can talk to him anytime I want to.
Okay, let's make it this way, Mighty. That was so nice talking with you. Suddenly, I liked your answers, and hopefully you like my questions. So, guys, if you're still watching, we got a nice conversation with Maddie Greenspan, founder of Quantum Economics, also involved in quick quantum expedition, Korra Finance, and all in all, just a investment expert, entrepreneur, and a leader in crypto financial markets. So yeah, Maddie, thank you so much for this conversation. I learned so much just talking to you. So yeah, see you next time.
Absolutely. Great to meet you. Thanks for having me.